What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video, Nvidia is relocating its logistics center, FPGA prices are going up, and did the Ergo Foundation spend all of its funds? Also, Flux pumped 90% in 2 hours, and Radiant's hash rate is still climbing. So you know the drill. Do me a favor, hit the like and hit the subscribe if you haven't already, and without further ado, we're going to jump straight in. So I've got a couple of articles that I wanted to read, but before I get into those, I just wanted to say in regards to yesterday's video between BZ Miner and LOL Miner, there was one comment that caught my attention that I wanted to share with you guys. Someone noticed that the comparison was not identical for a couple of reasons. One is apparently I omitted commas in the extra arguments on LOL Miner, so Naboo was running all of the locked core clocks at 1650, which was actually an advantage in LOL Miner's favor. But I just wanted to point out as well that, a 9-hour test on one specific pool isn't exactly the end-all be-all of test when you're comparing them. I was kind of limited on time. And I should point out that the fairest comparison that we could have would be on a pool that does not have difficulty adjustments, and then I'd say at least a minimum of 24 hours, but preferably at least 100,000 shares or 1,000,000 shares would give us a proper test, so to speak. But regardless, I'm still going to let the video stand based on the results that I was seeing. Both of them are just neck and neck, and again, hats off to those guys. They both have excellent miners out there, and I don't think you could go wrong choosing either one. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into this first article here talking about Nvidia relocating its logistics center. So according to news out of Taiwan, Nvidia is getting ready to move its logistics center from Hong Kong to Taiwan. The information comes from Taiwan's Ministry of Economic Affairs, so the source should be fairly reliable. The Taiwanese government has apparently been in negotiation with Nvidia since sometime last year, and the two have now reached a consensus. The media report didn't mention where Nvidia will locate its new logistics center, but the company and the Taiwanese government have been discussing tax subsidies to help facilitate the move. Wang told the local media that the new logistics center should boast the local industry, least not because Nvidia is already working with TSMC, as well as many other local suppliers and manufacturers. No details were given on when the move would take place, but it's likely to be a transition that will be drawn out, due to the fact that Nvidia is still going to have to supply all of its customers during the move. So, this is important to know for several reasons. One, it probably is going to disrupt the supply chain. I don't know when the move will begin, but I do think that will have an impact on distribution. And the other thing is just the escalating situation overseas, given that Taiwan is already in the target, so to speak, of China. But it makes sense that it would definitely be moving out of Hong Kong. And if you aren't aware of this, China has rights to Hong Kong, but that doesn't take effect until 2047. But, if you've been paying attention to the news, you would know, a year or so ago during COVID and all of these things, there were lots of riots taking place in Hong Kong because China was stepping in and trying to make all kinds of rule changes and basically bring them back in under the umbrella of China. So moving from Hong Kong to Taiwan may ease tensions a little bit, but in the long term, it may not make much of a difference. Hopefully, TSMC gets their factories up and running, I think in Arizona, sometime in the near future. Anyways, moving on, let's take a look at this article, also from Tech Power Up, about AMD to increase, Z-Link's FPGA prices by up to 25%. Z-Link's field programmable gate arrays, or FPGAs, now part of AMD, are always in demand in the semiconductor industry. Today, AMD has shared a letter to Xilinx customers that the selected FPGA devices or device series will receive an 8 to 25% price increase, citing AMD's investment into supply chain along with increased prices from suppliers. Xilinx FPGAs will get more expensive from January 9th of 2023. The cost of the Spartan 6 series will increase from 25%. The price of the Versal series will not increase, and the other Xilinx products will increase by 8%. Interestingly, the older series manufactured on 40 to 28 nanometer nodes will increase, while the latest Versal series does not experience any change. Regarding lead times, the 16 nanometer UltraScale Plus series, 20 nanometer UltraScale series, and 28 nanometer 7 series will all take 20 weeks from order to delivery, which will remain until the third quarter of 2023. You can read the entire document below. And I bring this up just simply because we know that FPGAs are on Caspa. I am pretty confident they are also on Radiant as well. Any type of core intensive algorithm, we would expect that to happen pretty quickly. Now, I don't think there's a lot of FPGAs on Radiant, but I do think that there are quite a few on Caspa. I don't know if these particular series are the series that are mining on Caspa, but it is interesting to see that prices are going up on FPGAs. Now, they're claiming that it's due to supply chain issues, but we've heard this story before. I think anything that is profitable is going to increase demand for one, and also it's just simply going to increase price. If you look at what happens with ASICs, an ASIC might cost a couple $100 to manufacture, but you'll spend upwards of $10,000 on one just simply because of the profit that you make from mining. So not a big surprise to see FPGAs increasing in price, but it'll be interesting to see what happens if, let's say, for example, the difficulty on Caspa goes up to the point where it's unprofitable to mine. Will they hold true to jacking up prices by 25% on FPGAs? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. So also wanted to take a look at the solar system. I know there's a lot of new subscribers on the channel, and some of you may not be aware that I do have solar. This is today's output so far. We're sitting at 22.9 kilowatt hours. I'll go ahead and pull up the monthly chart real quick, and you can see these last 4 days have been pretty rough. We had quite a bit of rain and lots of clouds, and that's affecting the solar output tremendously. But as you can see, we've produced 1,395 kilowatt hours since I installed it. And again, for the new people here, I did install everything myself. There are several videos documenting the process, and I'll go ahead and link those in the description. And yeah, if you guys want to catch up on what I installed and how I installed it, it'll be good videos to check out. Let's go ahead and take a look at profitability for today. So Caspa is still profitable at $1.99 per day, and this is based on my particular farm. I have edited these numbers here to reflect actual numbers. And then Flux is coming in at negative $3.41 still, even after a significant pump, which we'll cover here in just a moment. Ergo is, let's see, maybe closer to the top of the list. Yep, just slightly above Flux at negative $3.75. Actually, that is a little bit more of a loss than Flux currently is. We've got Neoxa at negative $6.47. Meowcoin at negative $5.98. Firo at negative $5.60. But there's a lot of hash rate shifting around right now. With Caspa being profitable, obviously a lot of people have switched over to that, freeing up some of the difficulty on some of the other chains. And then you've got people picking up on Radiant as well, difficulties going up there also, and I'll show you that here in just a moment. But I wanted to talk about something that I saw on Reddit in regards to Ergo. So let me go ahead and pull this up, and there's going to be a little bit of reading here, so apologies, just bear with me. In the latest AMA, someone asked Arminio about the Ergo treasury, and he mentioned that anyone can always check on-chain. I did a little digging, and an older post mentioned that this is the address. Just wanted to share this here in case anyone was interested. Now, the Treasury received 4.43% of the total supply over the first 2.5 years since launch, which was 4,330,000 Ergo. There's 912,000 Ergo left. So based on this, close to 3.4 million Ergo has been spent. I have a couple of questions. Not sure if anyone has the answer or if the Ergo Foundation can respond. Number one, has the Ergo Foundation ever mentioned how much cash they actually hold, or do they hold SIG USD instead in another address? I remember something during the last bull run, Arminio mentioned setting up a bear fund, so I'm assuming that they took advantage of ERG prices then to build up a reserve, or are funds converted to USD only when required? Number two, there really isn't that much ERG left for the Ergo Foundation, more so at current prices. Has there ever been discussion on having a small portion of transaction fees or storage rent go towards the Ergo Foundation in the future? Or does the Ergo Foundation think by the time we get to that stage it won't be necessary? Not particularly worried in the short term since the team is relatively small and I don't see them engaging in some of the silly spending we see in other projects, but I'm trying to get a sense of how this will play out for the Ergo Foundation in the long term, especially with regards to core development and other non-profitable initiatives like training and education. So Glasgow, which I'm not sure if they're the Ergo Foundation or not, they've got a little tag next to their name here, but they responded and said, working on an improved Ergo Foundation article for the site diving into this is more detail, but got sidetracked by another project past week. Most of our commitments are in ERG, and any extra spending is dialed back with the price. Anything else, the treasurer pays from a wallet that is refilled from the treasury, and we have some USDT, USDC, BTC, and SIG USD reserves on hand and dotted around on exchanges tied up in market making. Still formalizing the structures and currently in the process of switching our incorporation from Singapore to Dubai. Ergo Foundation still has a few years runway and not clear how long it will need to exist for at this stage. Kushti plans to donate profits from his decentralized grid trading protocol to Sigmanauts DAO as we start to shift more responsibly there, or more responsibility there. Some rough stats below in absence of spending price chart. The Ergo Foundation has spent the majority of the treasury for the benefit of the protocol and community when the ERG price was at low levels, as was necessary to successfully bootstrap the thriving community we see today. So here's an initial allocation, which was 4,330,000 Ergo. January 19th through January 20th, 847,000 spent, an average price of 85 cents. January 20 through January 21, 1.3 million spent, Ergo average price at 43 cents. January 21 through January 22, 640,000 spent, average price of $6.98. And then January 22 through October 22, 511,000 spent, average ERG price $2.98. The Ergo Foundation mainly restricts its activities to salaries for contracted developers, paying bounties set and open issues on core repositories, core protocol development, wallet development, exchange listings, paying third parties for admin and miscellaneous expenses, partnership-related expenses, hackathon and summit related expenses, and marketing and promotion. So, this type of response is very much appreciated. I love the transparency here. However, I am still a little worried. So if we take the 4.3 million ERG and we calculate what all was spent here, then yes, we're coming in at under a million ERG by a significant amount. And, they're projecting enough roadway for the next couple of years. However, what happens if the price of ERG continues to drop? If it's less than $1 now and we've got 600,000 Ergo, we'll say that's, $500,000 best case scenario, $500,000 to last you 2 years. Oh, that's scary to me. I don't want to speculate too much on this subject. I absolutely love Ergo. I love the project, but seeing that little in reserves is a bit frightening to me. Ergo is really struggling right now. In fact, let's go take a look at the difficulty. So, as you can see, we are getting close to the pre-merge lows here. And let's take a look at the week. So, continuously dropping down. We're sitting at 3.99 at the moment. And if we take a look at the month, just projected down, down, down. And we got coins like Caspa and Radiant popping off and taking a lot of this hash rate away from the network. But, a lot of that has to do with the belief that the project will do well in the future. Jumping over to Flux, if you see what happened to Flux after the merge, they continue to maintain that hash rate and even go up some for a significant amount of time. It didn't start dropping off until the beginning of November, and right now we're sitting at 86. So, it's real hard to speculate on the future of Ergo, but I am really hoping that they have some excellent news to share with the community here in the near future. And speaking of news on Flux today, and by the way, time of recording right now is 5 p.m. November 27th of 2022, and as you can see, Flux had a massive pump today. It is currently up 25%. However, it went from approximately 47 or 46 cents all the way up to 75 cents. Yeah, roughly about 75 cents, which is an increase of like 80 something percent. I mean, that is massive. These are some huge buy orders that came in here to push this price up this high. Now, of course, we have retraced and we'll probably continue to go down for a little while, but to see a pump like this on Flux, you would think that some major news has broke. However, I was unable to find anything specific that I would contribute this type of price movement to. There is a couple of tweets by Daniel Keller today. One saying, single biggest update to Flux ever. This opens the door to an entire new world. WordPress is so much more. Project Gut Punch was the internal code for the last step to complete with legacy infrastructure. Proud of this team. Hits me in the feels. And then also there was another tweet earlier today that announced that they are officially partnered with Elysium, I believe. Let's see if I can find that tweet. Yeah, there it is. So Elysium is now a partner of Run on Flux Labs. So not a parallel asset, but they are going to launch nodes essentially on Flux, which is awesome. I don't know if that's what contributed to the price increase today, but it's not reflecting in the hash rate just yet, which is kind of odd. Usually if you see a pump like that, you would see a change in hash rate, but so far it's not happening. And then also mentioning pumps and hash rate, we got to take a look at Radiant real quick. Within the last 24 hours, it was down in the 30s, I believe, 30 terahash to be specific. But we pumped all the way up to right at 60 terahash, which is a significant increase. basically 100% within just a few hours. So yeah, it looks like there is more awareness about Radiant. I noticed somebody posted a comment on something that Red Panda Mining put out saying that I was shilling this coin. And guys, I don't shill any coin. I tell you what I'm doing. I'm not saying that Radiant is the best project out there. I'm not saying it's the worst. I'm saying that, I mine this speculatively, hoping that it does good things, as well as many other projects. You never know what's going to happen to any of those. And speaking of which, in regards to the test that I performed on BZ Miner versus LOL Miner, I'm just a guy on the internet. Don't trust, verify. Run your own research. Do your own test. That's the entire ethos of crypto, and you guys should take that to heart. So I do appreciate you guys watching the video. I hope that you find this entertaining and you get some type of value out of it. And do me a favor before you leave, hit that like and hit the subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next video.